Hey, how's it going everyone? So I've never really done anything like this before. I mean, I'm not a person who likes to talk a lot about negative things, especially to draw a lot of attention to them. But something did happen tonight that was quite shocking to me. And I honestly thought I've got such a great support system out there. You guys are honestly the best people ever, that I thought it would only be fitting to talk to you guys about what had happened, and I guess to create awareness on the issue. So I guess thanks for giving me your attention. Yeah. So I know that there are pretty awful things happening in the world all the time, so I'm obviously not trying to take away from that, but I thought, because I guess it's very personal to me, that I would discuss this tonight. So I guess I will start off by letting you guys know what happened. A couple of hours ago I was in the library doing my assignment, and I was in the quiet area and I got a phone call from Kate. Now, you can't really talk too much in the quiet area, so I picked it up. And quite shockingly, Kate was, crying on the phone pretty heavily. So I sort of got up from my seat so that I could ask her, what was going on. And she said that she was in her car in a shopping mall. So after I calmed her down a bit and I tried to ask her where she was, but she said she was fine at that moment. She told me what had happened. So she had popped into the shops and walked in and then come back out, and there were these guys. I think she said that there were like 3 of them or something like that, and supposedly she had seen them as she was driving into the car park, so they must have waited for her, or I don't know, something like that. And as soon as she stepped out into the car park, there was no one else there, and they sort of approached her and they came up to her and they started saying things to her, and then they started grabbing at her and grabbing her bag, and she said that they started pushing her and things like that. And then she sort of, told them to leave her alone. She, tried to say please leave me alone. I'm just trying to get to my car. And so she tried to get to her car. They sort of stood in front of her. She tried to get into her door. Yep. Anyway, and then so somehow she got into her car. She didn't really explain what had happened sort of in between, but yeah, she was in her car and they sort of stood around her car, more so like behind the car so that she couldn't back out, and started really like heavily banging on her windows and sort of like shaking the car and coming up to like the front window and the door and try to open it, and do all the things that people think. I don't know what they think they're doing, really. What kind of like, what are you trying to accomplish with this? Okay, anyway, so she was there for quite a while. I sort of asked her, you should have just backed into them, I guess, or beeped your horn really loud. But she said she was in such a state that she honestly didn't know what to do. She couldn't even find her phone to like call anyone or anything. So, she said it lasted for a bit of time. And then I guess, with her, she started to move her car ever so slightly, and I guess they sort of decided then and there to leave her alone. Anyway, so she thought that was the end of it. She thought, I'm gonna get out of here. And then as she sort of reversed back, they sort of stood in front of her car, and I guess because the car park's pretty narrow, she couldn't, I guess, continue on forward. And they kept trying to say, get out of the car, like, and saying all these sort of derogatory kind of things to her. And she was, petrified at this moment because people were pushing her, grabbing at her, getting in her face, getting in her car, whatever they were doing. And, someone can't really drive in that state. Anyway, so she, I don't know, she sort of said she just sat there for so long. Obviously her doors were locked. What can you really do? I guess she's surrounded by 3 grown men. And she's pretty helpless, I guess, and it's pretty pathetic that there was no one else around, no security, no nothing at that time. Anyway, so eventually, after a lot of distress, a lot of being very uncomfortable, she managed to get out of the car park and then straight away called me. So I just got my crap from the library and I just raced straight to where she was, which was quite a while away. She was okay when I finally got to her. She was still sort of very teary. I took her home. I left my car where it was, and I just went with her in her car back to her house. So I guess this sort of act, or this sort of occurrence, just makes me think, you know, it makes me sort of pretty upset to think that people out there are willing to do types of things like this. I mean, Kate said that they were laughing and that they were thinking they were, I don't know what they thought they were. But I mean, would it be funny if someone was doing that to your mum or your sister or your girlfriend? Probably not. I mean, that kind of thing is never ever funny. There's never an excuse to do it, no matter if you're drunk or you're intoxicated in any sort of way. There's never any sort of excuse to do something like that, to terrorize someone that, you know, much and to make them that upset. And whoever knows what else that they would have done, I guess, continuing on if Kate sort of wasn't able to keep her calm and cool and, you know, think rationally at that situation. I mean, for example, if that happened to someone a lot younger, I'm not sure if they would have been able to, be as sort of like calm the whole time as Kate was. So I really did commend Kate on how she acted and things like that. Now, I guess what really ticks me off is the fact that these guys just sort of walked away from it all. They didn't receive any sort of punishment. No one sort of even got up them or angry at them or anything. You know, they're sort of out there doing whatever they're doing right now. Who knows if they're going to be doing this to other people, or, you know, thinking it's okay to just, do things like that in the future. So that's what really makes me, infuriated. And that's why I sort of wanted to talk to you guys about it today, because I really want to, you know, stress the fact that it's not okay to do things like that ever, like in any sense. No matter to anyone, no matter if a girl does that to a guy or if a guy does that to a girl. I mean, as a pharmacist, I experience a lot of sort of upsetting situations. I get a lot of different patients who are very upset and distressed about things that have happened to them, and they are on medication for it. And I sort of think, wow, look what you've done to this person. The stress and the upset that you've caused this person to experience has now caused them to start taking these quite heavy medication that's obviously affecting their lives quite dramatically. And was it worth it, you know, to put this person in that position? Obviously not. So, you know, I'm not saying you guys are ever going to be the people who are likely to do that, but I mean, if you ever do witness anything like that, or if you know of someone or some person out there, you know, in any way, it's best to speak up and sort of, ensure things like that never happen. Because, you know, just seeing my own girlfriend, like, absolutely in tears, like red and crying and like shaking, it makes me feel like that, and I wasn't even there. And so I guess, you know, let's just try and promote wealth, happiness, and well-being. That's sort of what I always am really passionate about. If you guys do agree, even in the slightest, with anything sort of I said today, please share this so that we can create some awareness on the issue and on other issues in this sort of area. You know, any sort of negative acts like bullying and things like that. I feel like, you know, it works wonders to actually discuss it and talk about it, because then I hopefully empower other people to like react and act in situations where they're witnessing things like that, and to stop it from happening, and to really, you know, put an end to it all. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day or night or whatever you're doing. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.